First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Hurricane Helene is officially a Category 3 storm as it continues moving toward Florida. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of First at 5. I'm Bailey Korinek.
And I'm Jack Meyer. UF forecaster Sienna Silvest is tracking the latest developments on the Category 3 storm.
That's right. You can just see the sheer size of Hurricane Helene here on this visible satellite. You can see its size, its magnitude compared to the state of Florida. Now, if we take a look at its track, you can see that it is going to hit the Big Bend area later tonight and going into tomorrow morning. It hit a Category 3 major hurricane status around 2 o'clock this afternoon. It is currently at 125 miles per hour and moving around 21 miles per hour towards the Big Bend. Now, it is going to continue to move inland, keeping that hurricane status as it goes outside of Florida into the state of Georgia. Now, taking a look at those weather alerts, all of the state of Florida, you can see here, is in either a tropical warning or hurricane warning. Moving into north central Florida, a little bit closer to home, to the western side of I-75, hurricane warning. To the eastern side, that tropical storm warning. Now, it is going to continue to go as Hurricane Helene passes through Florida. Now, all of Florida is currently in or tornado watch as the sheer size of Hurricane Helene covers the entirety of Florida. Now, taking a look at the live radar, Gainesville is currently dry. A little bit of storms, slight thunderstorms there on the southern side, but those bands are currently on the western edge as Hurricane Helene moves inland. Now, those rainfall totals, we have not been dry the last couple of days, so we are not starting at 0 inches once this hurricane hits. We are going to see more rain, and these rainfall totals continue as we go. Now, looking at our future cast of Hurricane Helene, you can see it is going to continue to hit the Big Bend as it moves inward. Now, you're going to continue to stay informed. Look to officials. I recommend downloading that Florida Storms app. It'll give you those hurricane as well as evacuation routes. So I recommend looking to officials and we will continue to keep you updated as we go later into the night and tomorrow morning. Coming up, more information on Hurricane Helene's track and its effects.
Thank you for that, Sienna. And just into the newsroom, UF officials have announced that the campus will remain closed on Friday. Officials say they need time to assess any damages from the campus to the storm.
We are tracking evacuation orders throughout the state as the threat of flooding and storm surge looms over communities. Right now, there are mandatory emergency evacuations for all residents living in Franklin, Taylor, and Moquila counties in the Big Bend region. Looking closer to home, Dixie, Levy, and Lafayette counties have issued mandatory evacs for those living in coastal communities and mobile homes. Voluntary evacuations have also been issued for residents in Marion, Suwannee, Hamilton, and Union counties.
In Levy County, officials say if you plan to disregard the mandatory evacuation order, to email pio@levycounty.org. The email should include your name, date of birth, home address, and phone number. This applies to residents located west of Highway 19. Search and rescue resources will be sent to these residents once the storm risk is cleared.
One of the biggest dangers sometimes has nothing to do with the wind or rain. State officials say the threat is often the people who claim they can help you after the storm. Our Radaysha Robinson joins us live in the studio to tell you what you can do to protect yourself.
I interviewed State Fire Chief Marshal Jimmy Petronas that gave me the rundown on what's being done to keep Florida safe. State officials are at the front lines and emergency responders are in full swing. Emergency officials' response to the Hurricane Helene affect the state with flooding, powerful winds. You're watching videos of flooding and relentless winds that leave neighborhoods concerned. State officials say the biggest threat that exists now are the predators that come out after the storm. Most importantly, you're asked to report any suspicious activity. Live in the studio, Radaysha Robinson, WUFT News.
Florida Fish and Wildlife are sending out their first wave of officers across the state. Officers say you should stay out of the water and off the road so first responders can arrive quickly to help in case of emergencies. FWC will be providing statewide storm updates on X at FLSERT. Callie Breen lives in the Marion Oaks neighborhood and says her husband was removing potential hazards from their yard ahead of the hurricane when Hurricane Helene, when he saw the bear, she said she believes the animal was heading to some nearby trash cans. Thankfully, no one was harmed in what could have otherwise been an unbearable situation.
We're tracking power outages across the state as Helene moves closer to Florida. We are already starting to see impacts in coastal communities in Southwest Florida. Right now, more than 128,000 households are without power. Sarasota County currently has nearly 19,000 people without power. Florida Power and Light Company is seeing the most impacts, with 90,000 people currently experiencing outages.
WUFT's Alex Land joins us now live in the studio with resources local counties are providing to keep you safe.
Alachua County has opened 3 emergency shelters for those who need alternative housing. 2 of the shelters are for the general population and 1 with special needs accommodations. It is advised that residents bring their own beddings and spare clothing. However, the special needs shelter will provide 1 cot per patient. Animal Resources will have supplies on hand for those in need with a pet. Marion County warns of the hazards when using generators. Never use a generator indoors. The exhaust contains carbon monoxide, a poison that you can't see or smell. Only use one outside, at least 20 feet away from your home. Always keep the generator dry to avoid electrocution, and be sure to turn off the generator before refueling, as gasoline spilled on a hot engine could cause it to ignite, and store fuel in an approved safety can. Each county is preparing for Helene in their own ways, so a great resource to stay updated is with your county's Facebook page. Live in the studio, Alex Land, WUFT News.
Now here's a live look at the coast in Naples just a few hours before Hurricane Helene is expected to make landfall. We're back after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Taking a look at the campus cam, we see those clouds starting to move in with the drops actually going on the camera. The winds are coming out of the east at 14 miles per hour with gusts up to 24 miles per hour. That temperature right around 84. Taking a look at our biggest risk for this storm, Helene, we see storm surge warning all up the western coast. The Big Bend region's actually expected to get 15 to 20 feet. For reference, that's about the size of a 2-story house. It's not something you want to be driving around in, especially after it's too late to evacuate with those roads flooding. Looking at the wind gusts, we see right around 8 p.m. it's going to make landfall with the gusts up to 67 in some parts. Going into tonight, 10 p.m., 80 miles per hour wind gusts up in Lake City. Taking a look at our app, I would recommend downloading the Florida Storms app to stay informed on upcoming events with Hurricane Helene as well as evacuation routes.
Now let's take a live look at Payne's Prairie, where storm conditions are beginning to pick up. Roads will become slippery, creating for dangerous driving conditions. When driving in these severe weather conditions, it's always good to take precautions. Be sure to turn your lights and windshield wipers on. Slow down whenever it is safe to do so, and be cautious of high winds, especially when driving next to buses and trucks. And also be prepared to treat an intersection with inoperable traffic lights as a 4-way stop sign.
Alachua County officials say residents should expect to feel some impacts of the hurricane despite being farther inland. They say homeowners should stay inside and keep the safety information in mind. Weather conditions will continue into 6 a.m. Friday. Officials say people should stock up on water and non-perishable food items and keep phones fully charged. Ensure that your home is equipped to stay in during heavy rain, flooding, and strong winds. Alachua County has opened shelters for residents that don't feel comfortable staying home. But if you do choose to stay home, Alachua County Emergency Manager Jen Grice advises residents to stay safe and to stay alert.
We want to make sure that our emergency vehicles are able to get everywhere that they need to go throughout the county. So we will do a first push as soon as possible to get those trees and those power lines out of the roadways so emergency vehicles can get through.
The county has an emergency 311 hotline where safety officials and volunteers can answer any questions residents may have in preparation for the storm. Certainly important information there as we go into tonight.
Absolutely, and WUFT's Matthew Clark is going to be with us after the break. Matthew, can you just give us a little sneak peek as to what we should be expecting to see from Helene later today?
Yeah, of course. We are just 3 miles per hour shy right now of a Category 4 hurricane, major hurricane at impact. I will have a lot coming up after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Latest 5 p.m. advisory is out, and Hurricane Helene is a strong Category 3, which is being 5 miles per hour shy of a Category 4 major hurricane before it makes landfall. I could expect it just to go up 5 miles per hour or more. There's still plenty of real estate in that warm Gulf of Mexico before it makes landfall in either Dixie or Taylor County, still to be determined. As we head into our Friday morning, it's going to be a strong Category 2 as it moves into south and up to North Georgia. The size of this storm is just humongous. Florida is wide on its own, but this thing spanning almost double the size. You see these strong convective thunderstorms around the eye. This is suggestive of rapid intensification, and that is just because we know that it's going to become a weekend Category 4 major hurricane at landfall. Infrared satellite of this thing, just a swath of a storm. Very clear-cut eye as it's moving forward. Starting to see those impacts in Gainesville. We just had a passing shower. Going to really start to get those impacts tonight. Moisture, water vapor in the atmosphere, all this is part of Helene, of course. Behind it is a cold front that has a dry air behind it, which is what's steering it into the Big Bend region of Florida. Expected to fizzle out and become a part of that cold front as we head into Friday morning and dissipates. Just had a passing shower. These are the showers that are associated with those quick spin-up tornadoes. Expected to get more of these as we head into tonight. Slight risk as in terms of severe weather because of those quick moving thunderstorms, creating some spin in the atmosphere, some quick tornadoes, bringing in some strong wind gusts, and all of Florida is pretty much in that tornado watch. We have a tornado warning over in Apalachicola right now. We've seen a lot of those over there. Expected to see some over here. We'll have you covered for those if we have those. Everything to the west of 75 has a hurricane warning right now, and to the east, a tropical storm warning. Going to see those gusty winds, really gusty winds for the most part. Storm surge all the way from the Keys all the way up to Apalachicola, and 15 to 20 feet likely in the Big Bend. I made some marks here. From Cedar Key south down to Spring Hill, 10 to 15 feet is likely, not survivable storm surge. 15 plus feet in this region of the Big Bend in Taylor and Dixie County. This is non-survivable storm surge. 20 feet is just an unfathomably high number. That's like a 2-story house. If you do have time, you can still get out. Wind field is a very large right now. It's almost 3 times the size of Idalia, so expecting some gusty winds for the most part as it makes its way landfall. 83 mile per hour winds in Cedar Key. These are just low end gusts. I expect these numbers to be much higher as it makes its way on land. 51 miles per hour is a minimum in Gainesville, and as we head into Lake City, 80 miles per hour, Mayo 60. These winds are going to just be really fast. It's important to be inside during these times, and as we head into Friday morning, these wind gusts are going to start to subside for the most part. Futurecast right now, going to start to see those rain bands moving in Thursday afternoon as we head into Thursday evening, really close to that eye wall as it makes landfall near Taylor or Dixie County. This is where the worst weather is going to be around Thursday at 9, but quickly moving out of our area as we get a couple of residual showers moving up from the storm on our Friday morning and into Friday afternoon. Rainfall total is not going to be a lot with this storm just because of how fast it's moving. You just saw there from Thursday afternoon to Friday morning. It's already in Georgia. 1.25 inches up to this point right now. This is from the past 3 days. Apalachicola expected the most, same with Tallahassee up in the Panhandle region of Florida. Now bringing it back home, see some raindrops on the camera. 84 degrees right now, really humid. Winds are starting to pick up. We've seen some 30 mile per hour gusts already here in Gainesville. Overcast skies, that passing shower just to the west of us moving through. As we head into that hour by hour, it's going to be raining. This is when you want to stay inside as we head into the overnight hours. Make sure you're staying with us as our storm track and continuing coverage of Helene.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Newly released video from NASA shows a view of Hurricane Helene from space. The view from the International Space Station shows the massive cloud structure associated with the storm as it continues barreling toward Florida. We're here to keep you updated, including our Spanish viewers. We now go to Schnabel with your top headlines in Spanish.
Helene es ahora un huracán de categoría 3 con vientos máximos sostenidos de 120 millas por hora. El huracán continúa fortaleciéndose y ganará más velocidad a medida que se mueva hacia el norte. Partes del Panhandle y el Big Bend ya están experimentando una marejada ciclónica severa. 14 condados están bajo avisos de tornado, incluyendo los condados de Dixie y Alachua. En todo el estado, Uber está ofreciendo viajes gratuitos a los refugios hasta un valor de $35. Ponga el código promocional Helene Relief dentro de la aplicación para activar el descuento. Vivo en el estudio, Schnabel, WUFT News.
DoorDash is activating its severe weather protocol across parts of Florida's Big Bend region and southern Georgia. All DoorDash operations are suspended in Tallahassee, Panama City, Gainesville, Spring Hill, and more. Operations are expected to resume on Friday at 1 p.m., but that remains dependent on if the conditions from the storm improve.
We're taking a live look out now in Hillsborough County. Wow, we can see the waves are absolutely going on to the street. Definitely not dangerous, or definitely dangerous to drive at this point. Slick roads for sure. Shaky camera. I mean, all of it just wow.
That's as hurricane of a shot as you're going to get right there. That looks very dangerous. I'm assuming that that's one of the areas that's long gone evacuated by now. But
that looks like it's around in Tampa. I'm from that area and I'm getting videos from friends. Water's up to their knees. It's definitely no joke.
Yeah, that's going to be some serious stuff to deal with. I was going to say, can we get one last look at the weather, just what we're dealing with Helene as it continues to inch closer towards making landfall with all the rain already on the coast? What are we looking like here?
Absolutely. Right now, we still have those warnings in effect. Tropical storm warnings east of 75 with the hurricane warnings west of 75 in that Big Bend region, bringing that storm surge. Very dangerous. Do not be driving out in the roads once that storm surge comes in. You do not want to be trapped in a car or any other, like a house. If you're able to evacuate, please do. We see some tornado watches still in effect all across Florida because of the bands of Hurricane Helene. We see that tornado warning indicated in the red polygon just north of Port St. Joe. We'll be looking into that more later, but the tornado watch is still consistent across the state. Just a quick glance at our 7-day outlook following Helene. We can expect tomorrow 87 degrees with that chance of rain being slightly lower than before. Saturday through Sunday, high 80, actually Saturday through Wednesday, high 80s with that low chance of rain as well. And then Thursday, expect that warmer temperature and sunny skies.
Thanks, Kira. Okay, we're continuing to wait on Governor Ron DeSantis' press conference, and we will update you on the latest information coming up when we're back here at 8 p.m. Thanks for joining us. We will continue to update you as weather advisories are released. Our next report will be at 8.
And we will continue to have reports throughout the night. You can continue to stay up to date with the latest developments on Hurricane Helene on WUFT.org. We please urge you to stay safe, make right decisions, and we will see you later tonight.